What do you genuinely not understand? I really do not get how a needle in a record player bouncing back and forth can create such rich sound. I just can't even imagine how rubbing a needle against vinyl can create a perfect replication of a sound. I get that it could make sound, like a rubbing noise, but to replicate a human voice, what is happening there? I'm going to confuse you even more. Look up Z video discs. They're basically records but are movies. And are still read by a needle. I have a Z player. I have no idea how it works. It just does, and it's insane. Why the fuck does my brain only realize I'm wrong after I've already done it? And why is the time between hitting send and realizing that was dumb measured in femtoseconds? This is me playing chess. The order of emails in a Gmail thread. The one you are looking for is always hidden somewhere in the middle. I used to look at the date/time of each message in a thread to orient myself. Until I started working with an international team and realized Gmail sometimes puts their timestamp on the message, not mine. The realization came when I was going through a chain and noticed half the messages were sent from the future. Edit, I couldn't in good conscience use realization and realized in the same sentence. My apologies to the gods of prose. How some people seem to get through life without a job, with no responsibility, no money, and they're totally fine. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass trying to make a living for myself and my family and struggling like hell. This right here. I have a buddy exactly like this. He's super charismatic and just has connections that hook him up with all sorts of fun stuff. He actually wasn't that great of a friend because he would always blow everyone off because something better came along. Usually by extorting their relatives. The YouTube algorithm. Here's a very interesting video that explains this in a fun and easy way. Long story short, nobody knows how the YouTube algorithm, or any similar algorithm, works. It just does. Let's recommend this video to everyone. In 5 years. And again 5 years later also this shit YouTube, you can't say anything R-rated also YouTube, can you fail the DFFRNCBTWE nadildo and REL Seok. Edit holy shit, this blew the fuck up. RIP my inbox. Why the hiring process at most companies is so damn slow. Back in the 60s, you could walk into a business asking about a job on Friday and start work the following Monday. Now, despite having access to tons of information about a candidate on the internet, it takes 6 or more weeks in many cases. There's so many facets to it, it's insane. For my current job for example, 1, a third-party service contacts me telling me my resume fits their client's open position. I apply via the third-party source and after the third party sends it to the company has the third party schedule a screening. 2, I have a 1-hour screening with the recruiter. Now from the company, the third party is no longer involved, and they say yeah you seem like a good fit, take this skills test by Friday and send it back to me. 3, with the test taken I receive an invitation to do a second interview, a cultural interview in which multiple members of the company ask me general questions about myself, my personality, my experiences in life, how I handle situations, etc. etc. Nothing technical about it, just making sure I'm a likable person who would work well with these employees. 4, a few days later the company tells me they'd like to do a third interview. This interview is with different members of the company and it's done to evaluate my technical knowledge in the field, how I would handle certain problem, etc. etc. 5, a few more days later they make an actual offer. The process is insane, it takes so long and is so drawn out. I've also done application processes where I have to take a video of myself responding to questions and working through technical issues, then send it back to the company where they say 30 of our employees will watch your video and rate your personality and performance in order to prevent any hiring bias. Meanwhile the boomers in my family could walk into a law firm with no high school diploma and get a job on the spot. My ex once interviewed for a job and thought she did terrible. She never heard back at all, so accepted something else that she interviewed for at the same time. They called her almost 2 months later to tell her they had accepted her and she had the job. Her response: "No. I have a great job. And why would I even want to work for a place that treats a future employee like that?" They seemed generally confused that she wasn't waiting for them to call her. How electricity works. Amps, volts, watts, etc. Amps, how many electrons flow. Volts, the force with which the generator is pushing these electrons. Watts, the amount of energy carried every second. This of course depends on the amount of electrons, so the amps, and the force they are pushed, so the volts, watt-hours. If watts is the speed of energy transfer, this is the space, that is the total amount of energy you transfer. Which means that if you have 200 watt-hours of energy available and something consumes 100 watts, you can only power it for 2 hours. If it consumes 50 watts, you can power it for 4 hours. Other ones? This picture sums up the relation between volts, amps and ohms pretty well, emo. Those people who do parkour on high-ass buildings. One mistake and you're dead. Well, they get a buzz out of that feeling of risk and so they keep doing it to keep replicating that buzz. If it were safe they wouldn't do it because there would be no excitement. Adrenaline. Sudden motivation at midnight. I've read that it's due to there being no pressure or thoughts of what could go wrong. This is due to the fact that the motivation is typically for things that would be in the future or carry over into the future, and there is no reason to start or finish the things being thought of at that moment. This Lamal never actually does anything, unfortunately, though. That no concept of an absolute position in space exists. Oh, for fuck's sake. My day was going so well. Thanks for that. And the point of space you are in right now, you will never occupy again. Not tomorrow when the Earth rotates. Not next year on the same day of the same month. Not ever. Why it's so damn hard to be happy 95% of the time when you have a stable job, good health, family and everything. Like, I have all of the pieces but something is constantly missing. Side note, I'm fine, it's just annoying. My personal take on this is that you are not supposed to be happy 95% of the time. There's some percentage that is good, but I don't know if it should ramp into the 50% range even. Why does the word fridge have the letter D in it, while refrigerator does not? Fuck this shit, I didn't realize that. Fridge as we know it was likely spoken out loud well before it was written. At first, some people did write it as frig as well, but it's thought fridge ended up being used to follow the pattern of other English words, for example, bridge. People who don't get nervous when public speaking. I am convinced that they are AI robots. What's going to happen if I mess up? Maybe people will laugh, but so what? I did fine whenever I had to address large audiences. I could look at them like they were just the wall I had practiced in front of the night before. It's the smaller groups where I can look judging people in their eyes that can get to me sometimes. People that treat everybody around them terribly then complain that nobody likes them. People that proudly say yeah I'm an asshole. Just people treating people around them terribly. Don't they have any pride? In many cases, they do. Their appearance, their possessions. Just not their personality. Chemistry. I only passed because my professor curved every F to a C. You gotten. My best friend has her PhD in organic chemistry and she gave me her dissertation in a bound book. Made the mistake of opening it once and was like, what the hell, this is all gibberish. Edit, love all the responses. I checked and it turns out her PhD is actually in inorganic chemistry. My bad Kells. Bitcoin mining. Solving algorithms. What? Who? Why? Imagine if keeping your car idling 24/7 produced solved sudokus you could trade for heroin. Edit, my friends, I paraphrased this from something I read years ago and the original source is apparently a tweet. I am not comfortable with all these awards. generating endless random numbers, combining them with the result of an arbitrary mathematical operation with a small amount of data from a previous block in the chain, and ignoring all results other than the one that matches a very specific, very difficult, but entirely arbitrary rule, leading number of zeros in the result for BTC, as in 0 by 12,345. All this work to make it impractical, the same way cracking passwords is, for any one person to commit fraud on the network even without a central authority, because the cost is prohibitively high. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.